So Jenni, you grew up in LA. I think of you as the quintessential California girl. How would you describe the Jenni Kayne aesthetic? Because I think California is so in its DNA.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think growing up in California really shaped who I am as a person, and then what the brand is all about, which is living well and living effortlessly. So nothing needs to be too perfect. I think the difference between like East Coast and West Coast is, you know, roll your sleeves up a little more, messier hair. You don't need to look totally done to feel beautiful in what you're wearing.
When we got to the set today, I was thinking these are very Jenni Kayne colors. I tried to even dress in Jenni
yes,
Kayne.
I should have worn cream. I'm sorry.
My cream, white, and neutrals. No, your top is very Jenni Kayne too. I was shocked to learn that you launched a fashion brand at 19. I think about what I was doing at 19. And I was ambitious, but I'm in college. I think I was a sophomore. I would have had no idea. How did you know how to start a business?
Yeah, I don't know. I look back and I'm pretty shocked as well. I think especially as my kids get older and I realize how young I was. I was wild when I was younger. I lived a lot. And
what does that mean?
I mean, like I had a lot of fun. I was rebellious and creative, and I was in a school that really like nurtured this kind of love of design. Figure drawing was my favorite class, and after a year of college, I just realized that like I wasn't a traditional learner, and I kind of always knew that, but I was like, I'll try it on and see what happens. So after going to Otis for art school, I started working, and I worked for a woman who had a small store in Santa Monica that's no longer around, and I was able to kind of like help her open the store, go buy all of the collections, which at the time were like Galliano and Gautier, and it was an incredible experience. I would get to go to Fashion Week in Paris and Milan, and
whoa,
yeah, like 18 years old.
Did you feel out of your depth, or you felt this is where I'm supposed to be?
No, I always knew I wanted to be a designer, and I definitely didn't feel out of my depth. I had a confidence that I think I've always had. So I just like loved learning and being hands-on, and I loved being in the store, and she had a small collection, so I was able to start designing that. And I actually haven't been down here in years, but like used to come down here all the time. I had memories, you know, driving here. And so somehow I just like pulled it together. I met people in Italy. I met a pattern maker. I met someone who helped me source fabric, and I was just super ambitious and naive. I went to my dad and I asked him to back me for 3 seasons, and that was it.
Rebecca Minkoff told me that when I interviewed her too.
Really? I actually think our dads are family friends, which is strange.
You're kidding.
No, yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So when I think of lifestyle brands, the early aughts it's like Martha Stewart, right? When you were thinking of turning Jenni Kayne into a full lifestyle brand, who were you looking to?
So I always had this vision that Jenni Kayne would be a lifestyle brand, but at 19, I didn't have the bandwidth, nor did I have the vision really to like know what that meant, but the concept was always there. And I looked to like great American designers like Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren and Donna Karan, who had all these incredible products across categories. So I feel like when you walk into a home or a store that's Ralph Lauren, you know exactly what the brand is about, and you know that everything that you touch speaks the same language, and that you can get the best of the best in that style from that designer. So the sofa, the candle, you know, what perfume you're wearing to what you're wearing on your body, they touch all categories. And that was always what I wanted, but never really had the bandwidth until the last couple of years.
I'm interested in that you mentioned vision. I sort of felt like I was sleeping until I was like 27, 28. And I don't know really what woke me up. I think books did it for me.
Yeah.
Was it a person for you? How did you all of a sudden think, oh, I can turn this into an empire?
I mean, I really think I always had a really strong sense of what I wanted to create, and then putting the team in place to actually get there is now, you know, where you see me today. So I always say, like, as a working mom, you have to have a great team at home and a great team at work. Otherwise, it's not possible. Like, balance is you know, something I'm always striving for. So hiring an incredible CEO when my daughter was young, she's now 12. So I think Julia's been with me 7, 8 years, something like that. She really helped me like turn Jenni Kayne into a real business. And once we kind of tackled clothing and shoes and really like had a sturdy foundation, then we were able to go into decorative accessories, pillows, throws, candles, and then into furniture and then Oak Essentials.
Mandeville candle is in my apartment all the time.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
I love it. So speaking of your CEO, Julia Hunter, she said, quote, "You have the best taste out of any human I've ever met." Whoa. What is great taste? How would you define it?
God, I don't think you can put that into words. For me, it's like just something that I feel like I was born with. It's just something that's inside of me. So many times people ask me like what inspires me or what drives me, and it's really difficult to put into words. But I think kind of having a language that you speak. So standing, like really being confident in what you believe in and what your vision is, and standing for that, and not being like, oh, I'm going to do this now and this. That, like, I think my style is very cohesive and really has like a clear point of view.
Who are your tastemakers? Well, I ask only because sometimes I'll go on a beautiful trip and I'm like, this cathedral
totally
inspired me.
Yeah.
Like, what
inspires me?
Yeah, like where do you go that catches your eye?
I'm most inspired when I travel. So I think like art, architecture, landscape, being out in nature is where I am most creative. I feel like my team gets so annoyed because when we're like out of office, I'll be sending the most emails, because just like laying and relaxing and being in a beautiful setting, that's when I start to like really get my creative juices flowing, which is why I think having a partner, a CEO, is so important, because it's very difficult to be a businesswoman and a creative. It takes a toll.
Say that again.
Yeah.
I agree. Who has the best taste out of anyone you know?
Oh my gosh. I think one of my best friends, Jessica DeReuter, has the best taste. She's a stylist, worked for Vogue for a million years. Now she lives in Toronto, and everyone should look at her Instagram.
Do you think that an eye can be refined, or is it something you're born with?
No, I 100% think it can be refined. I mean, I don't know what that would feel like, because I do feel like I was born with it, but I would take Julia, for example. Like, Julia didn't know how to set a table, how to decorate a home. She, wouldn't say that she was known for her taste. And now you walk into her home and it's beautiful. Her wardrobe is, impeccable. And she can host a dinner party for 12 with very little effort. So I think it's definitely something that can be refined and learned.
Yeah, I think so too. I grew up in Chicago, and when I moved here, I always joke that I got onto the red carpet and I saw all of these like interviewers with these microphones, and they all knew how to dress. Yeah. And I looked around and I was like, I better figure this out.
Yeah.
You did. Thank you. That's very kind. I just studied it.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at people. So I do think it's possible. It's nice to hear from you that it is. So you describe your superpower as being discerning. Mm-hmm. That was really interesting to me. That I've never heard anybody say that. How has being discerning attributed to your success?
Yeah, I mean, I always joke, people like think it's funny, but it's real. Like, I am a Virgo through and through. And I used to think that was a critical eye, but I've really decided it's a discerning eye. And I think having that ability to discern like what feels right and what feels wrong, what is beautiful and what is not, what's new and modern versus like stale, I think that's kind of what's created what you see now. So I think it's a superpower for sure.
I do too. I think a lot of people have trouble making a decision.
Yeah, no, I do not.
Do you think it comes from trust in self?
I think so. Yeah, and I think it gets more refined with age for sure.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I look back now and I'm 41, and I just wish I had all of this like 10 years ago, because you think you do, but you don't.
I just said that. I was like, if I knew now what I, like at 22, I would have been unstoppable.
Totally.
It's just life, right?
Yeah.
What is that quote, like, youth is wasted on the young?
100%.
It's very true. Yeah. This is probably not a fair question because nobody's life is picture perfect, but I think part of the Jenni Kayne brand is that it is so pristine. Mm-hmm. Do you embrace the mess in your own house?
In a way. So I would say the mess is like, my house is more like a circus. Like, there's dogs running in and out, children everywhere, tons of rescue animals, like, kids are fighting, kids are getting along. Like, it's messy, right? Yeah. It's definitely not picture perfect, but I'm not a messy human because I'm a Virgo. Everything is very organized. And if it's not, then I'm like, walking around behind people picking stuff up.
Right.
But there is currently a plastic basketball hoop in the entry of my house because my 5-year-old is obsessed and we don't have a hard surface to play basketball. So like, it's not perfect.
And you're okay with that.
It's pink and it's plastic. I keep moving it around the corner and it keeps just coming back out.
That's funny. So you say elevate your everyday is your brand's ethos. When I think about that phrase, I think that it means that little decisions matter, not just big decisions. Is there anything you feel absolutely unwilling to compromise on?
I think beauty, like, I think all the small details in life are equally as important. So I always say like what I'm wearing to what I'm putting in my body, on my skin, how I'm setting my table, what my house looks like all those details are equally as important, and they should all feel beautiful. So even though sometimes things take more time, I think it's worth it.
So for anybody who would say that stuff is frivolous, what do you say?
It's not about having expensive things. It's about having things that make you feel good in your skin and are visually pleasing if that's something that's important to you. So for me, like my surroundings and looking out at beauty, whatever that may be, is really important. And that's what drives me. It's not about material things.
Yeah. I actually really feel that from you. I think that comes through in the brand. Sort of less is more, not more is more.
100%.
Has there been a milestone that you really wanted to hit with the brand that sort of changed everything for you?
I mean, I'm sure there have been so many. I don't know that I could pinpoint it, but I would say one of the biggest things in the beginning, back when magazines were everything. This was before blogs and podcasts and all the other ways that we have to expose who we are as people and as a brand and all the things. Having my first meeting with Anna Wintour and like going into her office and showing her the collection, that was a huge moment for me.
How did you prepare for that?
I was so nervous. I was so young and I was so nervous. I must have not been more than 22. Yeah.
What? So that was like year 3?
Yeah, and she was super kind. I mean, she's not like warm and fuzzy, but she was very kind, and we had a couple of meetings over the years, and it definitely, like at that time, that was a huge deal and was kind of everything.
Do things make you nervous now at all?
Yes, but I think I'm much more comfortable in my skin. I'm not like, I don't love confrontation. I don't love speaking in front of large groups of people. But in general, like I have a meditation practice and I really try to be like mindful and in the moment and a grounding practice. So that like when I come in here, I really feel comfortable with what my intention is and good in my skin and right here present in my body.
Yeah, meditation is, I've always wanted to commit and I haven't yet. And all of my friends whose sort of like spiritual demeanor I admire practice it.
I think there's so many easy ways to do it. You don't have to be perfect. I've done many different iterations and versions. I think like just as a beginner, just to get insight timer and like listen to a few guided meditations. You can even listen to a sound bath while you're driving in your car. Like, I know that's not ideal, but it's better than nothing.
It is. Music is sort of meditative.
Totally.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, there's ambient music. There's all kinds of things that you can just like put on for 10 minutes. And
has there been a really challenging day?
There have been so many challenging days, but they're fewer and farther between.
Really?
But yeah, no, we all have challenges. And I would say like some of the biggest challenges I've had, I don't have as much anymore because they were just like dealing with personnel and employees and hard decisions. And now Julia deals with that.
That's thank goodness.
Yeah, it's not in my DNA.
Who
my
needs to do that?
No.
Yeah, how are you supposed to like craft the next collection and deal with?
It's hard, it's stressful.
Do you feel like there's a skill that you possess that's hard to teach somebody? Because that's what I never understand about an aesthetic brand. It is so much of you. Like how do you share that with employees who, at this point, your brand is so big you need support?
Yeah, I think it's working closely with them. So I think the more that we work together, like when we're together styling the collection, if I'm on a shoot and like doing an entertaining thing and putting things together, like they're absorbing kind of how I work and what I see. So while I still like set the tone, they very much can execute and do it probably without me at this point.
Have you seen anything that you recognize in you rub off on them? Like day one as an employee versus day 1001?
I already said this, but like Julia like couldn't cook or entertain or have anybody over, and now she can fully host a large dinner party confidently with a beautiful table.
Can you hold a school? Mostly for me.
No, but we've done like workshops and things like that, and I love to learn. So like,
workshop.
Yeah, like I love like learning like flower arranging and things like that. So we do things like that in the store. And then we try like in the book and on the site, we try to do like how to decorate your coffee table and things that just come naturally to me. Like my team kind of like pulls it out and they're like, okay, what are the rules here? And I think that can be very helpful if that's not something that people kind of have their own vision for.
There's been so many celebrities wearing Jenni Kayne. You at one point had sort of an estate. People stayed there, celebrities stayed there. That was actually how I first
Really?
found you. Yeah. I think Sophia Bush and Deborah Messing were there for like a weekend.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this beautiful place? So was there anybody that you were really excited to see in the Jenni Kayne family?
You know, I feel like there was such an emphasis on celebrity when I was first starting that those are kind of the imprints I have. So I think like when Michelle Pfeiffer wore my stuff, like that felt like very important. I think since then there have been so many incredible women who have, you know, worn Jenni Kayne. I don't read tabloids, I don't read vlogs, anything, like any websites or anything like that. So I don't really like focus on that. But I think what drives me more than celebrities wearing my things or spending time in our Jenni Kayne house that we had is seeing just like real women in the world. So walking around, you know, with my kids, even my son who's almost 15, and women are in my clothes or my sweater, and they'll be like, "Mom, that's your sweater." Like, you know, like I think that's the most exciting, because the whole point is for women to love what they're in, right?
I've never thought about that. It's very cool that your kids could recognize it.
Totally. I once was with my daughter at the Country Mart. I do have a store there, so, you know. And she recognized like 4 different people in 4 different outfits. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this.
What do you think that means? Like, I know what it means to you. What does it mean to them, do you think?
Well, honestly, I think it was one of the biggest challenges early on when I had children was like, how are you going to be a great mom and a working mom? Because I definitely knew that I wanted to keep working, but there's a lot of guilt and it's hard to find that balance. So I think I've struggled with that over the years, up until recently probably. And then I remember my son saying something like, you know, like, I know women can do it all because you do. And like something about, you know, how cool my work is. And they're definitely in awe of it a little bit. So I feel like it was all worth it.
That's really impactful.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about the guilt part?
No.
Do you feel like there's anything you missed out on? Like, do you like sit up at night?
1,000%. I definitely don't sit up at night. But like earlier on, I couldn't take my kids to and from school. Now I take them every day. I pick up one of them, you know, a couple times a week. I've really like figured out my schedule so that I can be more hands-on. So yeah, I didn't show up for a lot of things, but I also feel like society expects parents to like almost not have a job. I mean, the amount of school things and the amount of like emails that you get and things that you're expected to show up for, and it's just not realistic. Like,
I heard they also really send the emails to the moms and not the dads, which is wild.
My husband has no idea the amount of emails. I've had to silence our WhatsApp group chats from all my schools because while they're so helpful, I was getting like 40 texts a day because I have kids in 3 different schools. Wow. I was like, this is not sustainable. Like, it's a full-time job. My joke is always that my real job is being my kid's personal assistant.
That's funny. You've expanded from retail stores into furniture, and then obviously like a bajillion other things, like the candle that's beautifully right over there. I can tell as you're talking to me, like the creative is what you love. Mm-hmm. So how do you stay connected to the design process and all of that?
So I think what's super unusual about a company of our size is for the actual designers, it's just me and one other girl doing clothing, accessories, shoes, and then me and one other girl doing furniture and home decor accessories and stuff like that. So I'm extremely hands-on. I design every collection. I style every collection. That's what I love. So I feel like having Julia and having this incredible team built around me has really allowed me to like stay in my lane and do what I'm best at. And then everyone else I feel like is better at their job than I would be.
You launched a skincare line recently, which I was excited to see, Oak Essentials. And when I saw, I was like, she must feel, see, or think that there is something missing in the market because it's such a saturated market. What was missing or something that you wanted to see that you created in Oak Essentials? So
I think the concept with the Oak Essentials is like, we started with the routine of 5 products that everybody needs. And it's all about like glowing and feeling hydrated and moisturized, and products that can like span age groups, and they're so clean and actually work, and also have incredible essential oils. So like the feeling that you get when you're putting them on is equally as important to me as like how much they're actually working.
Yeah.
And I love that like my son, who's, you know, struggling with breakouts in 9th grade, can use the blue tansy oil, which is our ritual oil. My daughter like lives for the Rescue Balm. Like, I can put them on the 5-year-old. Like, we can all wear them. My mom, my sisters, all of us, you know, can use the skincare, and it's just beautiful.
Was there something that surprised you about starting a skincare brand?
I think like how many rounds it takes to get it right, because you never want to put anything out there that you're not completely in love with and that doesn't have like such great results and a great feeling when you use it. Like it's a different process, the production.
So how does someone begin creating their own aesthetic, something that's meaningful to them? If you were to like give us a tip or maybe even 2 or 3.
I think less is more. So I think really figuring out, like my whole thing is find your uniform, and my uniform and your uniform could be completely different, but like figure out what works for you with your body type that makes you feel good in your clothes, but also for your lifestyle. For me, it's a great pair of high-waisted pants or jeans, usually a t-shirt or a knit, and a sweater or a jacket. Flats always, I don't want to be in heels. Like it's just, I can't keep up. And once you figure out what works for you, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like I think really kind of understanding who you are and not being afraid to stand for what you love.
I like that. What are 3 Jenni Kayne design principles that anybody can apply to make their space more beautiful?
Oh my gosh. Keep it neutral.
Okay.
Less is more, and I'd say use like as many natural materials as you can. So I like to keep it neutral and then have it in pops of color with your art, with your accessories, things like that. Because for me, if I do like a big statement color, I get sick of it. And I don't like things that don't stand the test of time. That could be different for somebody else, but that's just my preference.
How do you feel about texture?
I love texture. And especially within neutrals. So like the fact that we're sitting on this like boucle sofa, I feel like it just like adds interest. And I think you can get the same thing with beautiful wools and mohairs and linen and alpaca, and definitely like kind of mixing it up definitely feels interesting.
Is your husband into design?
Totally. He's a real estate agent and he has great taste, and we're both Virgos. So our poor children live in a crazy house, but behind the scenes, definitely a big influence.
So like you could talk about the boucle couch and he would know what you're talking about?
Totally, 100%. Yeah.
I love that. I feel like I can kind of get overwhelmed by an empty space. Once there's some things in there, then I kind of feel it out.
Yeah.
I love that you started in college when you were 19. Like if somebody is moving into a new apartment, a new condo, a new house, and it is a wide empty space, what's the first thing you should do?
Well, I think like figure out what your direction is, and I think we have access to so much now. Like go on Pinterest and look at things you like, create a mood board so that everything's like very cohesive, and then start with your grounding pieces. So like your sofa is your most important piece. I would invest more in your sofa than maybe other things. So sofa, rug, coffee table, and then you can like take your time, figure out beautiful accent chairs, and then start to layer in accessories, pillows, throws, things for your coffee table, art. But like with my first house, when I had a baby, I didn't have a coffee table for a year because I couldn't figure out what that coffee table was. Like the space was overwhelming. So I don't think everything has to be like tick and tied and perfect, you know, and also it's not affordable to do everything at once for a lot of people. So like take your time and really invest in pieces that you're gonna love and that are comfortable and really feel like they work in the space.
So is it fair to say get your sofa first and then build around that?
I think so. Okay. Yeah.
That's a good rule. I've heard you describe yourself as a really private person, which was so interesting. And actually having researched, I'm like, you don't put your face all over the brand. Even though it's your namesake, it's really separate. Like nobody really knows what Jenni Kayne looks like. Now they will. What went into the decision of naming your brand originally?
Yeah, I look back and I don't know that I would have done it again. I think I was so young, I didn't really understand, and it wasn't even a question. Well, I guess it was gonna either be Jenni Kayne or Kane. And I don't have regrets at all, but as I get older, I am pretty private, and it is my name. So it you know, sometimes feels a little funny, but
in what way?
I like living my life and having anonymity. Like I want to be able to go places and not always be recognized. That definitely is happening more. And so it's like just paying attention to what I look like when I go to the farmer's market now, which like maybe I don't want to do every Sunday morning. Sometimes
you want to be a sleepy girl.
Totally, yeah. And like I still like, of course I'm in my Jenni Kayne sweats, but I'm like, okay, maybe pull it together a little.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Does it help at restaurants though? Because it's the name?
It does, yeah. No, there are definitely perks. Like, but I just feel like as much as I want the brand to be very large, I have no desire to be famous. Like, I want it to be about the products that I make, not about me.
How do you think your husband feels about being married to somebody who has built
Being Mr. Kane.
yeah, like who is I mean, you've built something
Yeah.
really remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just so proud. Like
cool.
we got married when I was 23, so we've been together we've been together a long time.
I'm sorry, what?
I know. I look back now because I horseback ride and I have a whole range of ages of women that I horseback ride with. And a couple of them are like in their early 20s, just graduated from USC and things like that. And I look at them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I was engaged at this age. Like,
Right, like you picked your life partner and you just knew?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I definitely had lived, and my husband's 13 years older, and all his friends were married, and he was really looking for the right woman, and it just was right. There was never a question, and yeah, it's been like almost 20 years. I know.
That's so fun. Okay, I always do a little rapid fire.
Okay.
What is your best tip for dealing with clutter?
Less is more. Clean it out. I love a closet clean out, pantry clean out, any of that. Give things to friends, sell things, get rid of it, donate.
How often are you cleaning out?
Minimum twice a year, if not 4 times.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love a clean out. I feel like
Makes me feel lighter.
yes.
Getting dressed easier.
Way easier.
Yeah.
And I don't buy very much, but I always am like, why do I have all this stuff?
I know. Yeah.
Okay, if you had a go-to uniform, which I know you do, what is your uniform?
High-waisted pair of trousers, t-shirt, great sweater, pair of mules.
Favorite lifestyle brand that's not your own?
I would say Ralph Lauren as like an icon and the Row as what I actually want to buy.
What's a dream that you've tucked away for the moment?
To live in Santa Ynez on a ranch.
What is a book that changed your life, something you think everybody should read?
As a parent, I think Untangled is like the most magical book for raising girls. And then as a book to get lost in, I just read Horse. I obviously am a horse lover, but it was an incredible read. And normally it takes me like a vacation to read it, and I read it in a week.
Are you on Horse Girl TikTok?
No, do I need? I'm not on TikTok. This is right. I'm like,
You don't need to be on TikTok except for Horse Girl
Really?
TikTok.
Okay.
I'll send you something.
Okay.
Okay, Jenni Kayne, you know the best of everything. So help a girl out. What is the best luxury hotel?
The Amangiri in Utah.
The best, chicest little known spot?
I love Bluey's by my office.
What is the best hostess gift?
A Jenni Kayne candle.
The best thank you note or card?
I like sugar paper.
The best wine?
The best wine, I like Aveline because I like a clean natural wine.
Do you think natural makes a difference?
I do. I mean, as I've gotten older, it's really hard to sleep after I drink wine, and not with Aveline.
What's the best candle?
Jenni Kayne. I mean, Mandeville, I love. Ash is another favorite.
Yeah. Ash is another one?
Yes.
I haven't tried Ash yet.
Ash is great for the winter, too.
I actually got Mandeville because of a girl on TikTok.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, because I forgot which one I had, but I had a different one.
Yeah.
And I do like Mandeville.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, what is the best blanket?
A Jenni Kayne alpaca blanket.
What is the best piece of advice anybody has given you?
I think less is more, and that would be my mother.
And what is the best way to say thank you?
I think sending something meaningful. So like for instance, my girlfriend Molly sent me a basket from Italy with a recipe from I Swoon with all the ingredients. So like fresh tomatoes, the best pasta, basil, everything right there. So that like she knew I would love it. Dinner was done. It was pretty awesome.
That is fantastic. What a good friend.
Yeah.
I love that. What is the smartest decision you've ever made?
Hiring a partner.
If you don't mind grabbing the question cards right there and pulling one out, whichever one calls you.
What's your all-time most memorable meal? Oh my gosh. I would say Il Pelicano pesto pasta in Italy.
That's a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.